All right, you heard all of Corey's takes on that. Very interested to hear about Damani Stewart. I'm literally going to tell Powers about that.
Yeah,
because
I want to look him up now, too. I'm curious.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's just a cool story in general. But then, too, for him to be excelling at that rate right now is huge for Westwood. But let's take a look at the state-ranked teams in the greater Austin area. We will start off in 6A, and I mentioned it earlier. This is just actually shocking. For
5 teams.
20 teams in 6A in Austin, and 5 of them. And that's a 4th.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Right.
I don't care who you are. That is impressive for 6A ball to have 5 ranked teams out of the 20.
Well, and there's only 25 teams that are ranked
exactly.
in 6A. So that's a 5th right there.
Yep, exactly.
They're in the Austin region.
Yeah, so the 5-1-2 definitely standing out. Of course, the same as always, Austin Westlake coming in at number 4. But here's where it gets interesting. Vandergrift ranked at 5th. We always talk about Lake Travis and Westlake, but there you go, the Vipers. Mm-hmm. What Coach Drew Sanders has been able to do in a relatively young program. We talked about a lot going into the state championship last year, that they were 14 years as a program. Now they're in their 15th year. Drew Sanders, obviously, the only head coach that the Vipers have ever had, but he started that program from scratch and knew it wasn't going to be an instant impact. But he stuck with it, and 14 years later, there they were in the state championship. And yeah, it didn't go the way that they were hoping to. That was a DeSoto squad that was just, next level talent.
Talent everywhere.
But man, let me tell you, if Vandy goes D2, looking at some playoff projections and stuff, their walk to AT&T Stadium, I'm never going to say that 6 weeks worth of playoffs is easy or it's light or anything like that, but they would definitely be heavily favored in a good chunk of those games, at least early on. So Vandergrift has a legitimate shot. Honestly, out of any of these teams, if I had to look at one and say that's who I think will end up at the state championship, I would say Vandergrift over Westlake. I would say, obviously one of them ending up D1 and D2 is unlikely, but if Vandergrift does end up going D2, they look like they have a dead shot.
Yeah, I think
it's theirs
so too.
to lose at least.
Well, and they've already been tested this year too. Austin Vandergrift, they actually beat Dripping Springs week 1. It didn't just beat them, handled them pretty well. It was like a 27-7 win over a ranked team. So they've already been tested early, and they just look the part already this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if they made it back to AT&T Stadium this year.
Right. Yeah, and then obviously Lake Travis and Westlake have already played. Westlake ended up winning at that one. Be interested to see if we get another rematch of Lake Travis Cibolo Steel in the playoffs like we have. Obviously, they've played 3 times within the past year. So we could get round 4 later on in the playoffs. That's looking to kind of come into fruition. You mentioned, I'll skip Pflugerville Weiss for a second because you mentioned Dripping Springs earlier. This is a really big credit to Dripping Springs because we rode them off almost completely when they lost by that much.
I thought you were going to say when they lost Austin Novosad last year.
Honestly, when they lost,
was their guy.
Yep.
I mean, he was the guy last year.
And I was going to say after week 1 because you take a look at it and you go, okay, they lost a generational quarterback for their program, and we'll see in week 1 if they found someone. Week 1, they got there and they just get clobbered, and it wasn't like, the 27-7. It could have been a lot worse than that in week 1. But they look like they finally found a little bit of a quarterback, and that they're starting to get that offense going again. So it'll be a steady build back up to what they were with Austin Novosad. But Dripping Springs, not one to shy away from competition. And you mentioned it earlier, how having ranked teams in the same district. How about 3 there for you? Yeah. Westlake, Lake Travis, and Dripping Springs, all in the same district. So Drip has Westlake this week and Lake Travis next week. So they get the very unfortunate twofer. But if they can claim one of those, if they can beat Lake Travis, they'll be second in that district behind Westlake. Or if they could go and beat both of them, I don't know. They haven't played yet. But assume my guess would probably lose to Westlake, but if they can go out and get one against Lake Travis, you're looking at a second seed over Lake Travis in that district, and that's huge.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then finally, we've talked about them a ton, but Pflugerville Weiss, what an unbelievable job Vernon Hughes has done. I loved hearing Corey talk about their defense because he's exactly spot on. That's been the catalyst of this team. They remind me of the old, like back in the day when Cedar Park was really good in that like 2013 through 15 era, and they were the Black Rain defense was like the main reason behind that. Pflugerville Weiss is looking to be that talented on defense, and he's right. They do hit the crap out of you. So if you would like to see that in display, a reminder, that game against Bryan happening tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. So go watch that. Now, the bulk of the ranked teams are in 6A, but we do have a couple of smaller school programs, and these are really fun to talk about. So Wimberley, the 5th-ranked team in 4A Division II, man, they have looked the part so far. And that was another thing we talked about when Wimberley lost Cash McCollum 2 years ago. It was, oh man, they end up in the state championship, but now they've lost their kid that was supposed to be like the 3-year starter, the future of the program and all that stuff. Right. But of course, Doug Warren knows a thing or two about quarterbacks. Cody Stover has really shaped into being a special player for them. Their defense has looked strong. A couple of really, really good wins on the year. I thought that obviously their win against Brock is always one that's a highly anticipated matchup. And then the win against Lampasas, the 41-20 win against Lampasas. That was
a statement win. Yeah.
That was really good because I don't think that we talk about Lampasas right now as a very heavy competitive statewide contender. But when you start talking about people that are like very much in their weight class and to see how much they could dominate over them, that win against Lampasas is when I was like, okay, Wimberley's for real again. So they are favored, according to the computer, by 75 over Manor New Tech, the Fighting Ishmael Johnsons. So might be a rough one for the Titans coming up, but they could always prove us wrong.
That's
so
true.
We shall see. But Cody Stover, Doug Warren, and the Wimberley Texans are off to a fantastic start. And then here's this. So breaking down the state into regions is not necessarily an easy feat. We break them down into 21 different regions, and there happen to be a couple of teams like Columbus that it's just so hard to figure out where to put them. Because when I saw that we put Columbus in the Austin region, I literally said out loud in the office,
I heard you say to Tepper,
Tepper, what? And then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, I've passed through Columbus. Where was I going? I was leaving Houston, and I was going to Austin. I was driving up 10, and I was like, okay, it's definitely in the vicinity. But I was like, but it was still a long way to get to Austin. But so we kind of start looking it up, and it's like, okay, well, where would you put them? Because when you go, when you go to the east, the next town you would run into is Sealy. Sealy's over there in the Houston area. Then you go south, and the first kind of big town that you run into is El Campo. They're Coastal Bend.
Yeah.
Then you go out to the west, and you get Hallettsville or Schulenburg. They're in the San Antonio region. You go north, and you've got LaGrange. They're in the Austin region.
Right.
So it's like they are literally equidistant from 4 different regions. And they're just kind of on their own little island, and it makes the most sense to pair them in with Austin. Because you got to draw the line somewhere. Right. So Columbus, 3A Division I, is ranked number 2. Obviously, massive game against Hitchcock. If you're just now joining us, that game will be broadcasted live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, TexanLive.com. You can watch it spotlighted on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. But it's always funny to look at that and be like, well, yeah, they're kind of just in the middle of all of these things that are already on the very far outer edges of their region.
Right. So where else do you put them?
So I'm willing to hear arguments, but for our purposes, Columbus is in the Austin area.
Yes, correct.
So incredibly excited for that one. So there you go. State-ranked teams across the 5-1-2. Now we head over to our Cruton corner specialist.
No,
she's
that's
trying
Powers.
to Wally Pip Greg Powers out of the
I'm
Cruton corner.
I really am not.
I don't. Valerie Hartley.
I can't. That's a really tough title to live up to.
Just in general, from a human being perspective, I will never be able to
it's
live
hard
up
to
to
live
the greatness of Greg Powers.
And I don't want to put that on myself. I don't want you to put that on me.
That's too
because
much
I'm just
pressure.
going to disappoint you.
Exactly.
So
yeah. That's guaranteed disappointment.
Correct. We'll knock that back a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. She likes to talk about recruits.
She
is Mallory Hartley.
All right, let's start in the largest classification here. Austin Vandegrift, offensive tackle. Blake Frazier, 6'5", 260 pounds. That's a big boy, bro.
Hefty.
That's a hefty boy. Last season as a junior, he didn't allow a single sack through all 16 games. Of course, helping the Vipers to a state championship appearance in 6A Division II. And guess what? He's taking his talents to go play the next level at the University of Michigan. Which
wah, wah.
we could really use him on our offensive line right now. I'm not gonna lie.
You could use a lot for Michigan State right now.
We could put him anywhere, and he would probably be better.
He can come play quarterback if he wants to at Michigan State right now.
Rutgers
is favored over Michigan State.
Yeah, correct. We could no. Anyways, go watch ROF. Watch ROF. But anyways, he's going to fit perfectly there at Michigan, already adding to probably the most talented offensive line in the entire country. His dad actually played at Michigan from 95 to 99 and was a part of the national championship that the Wolverines captured in 1997. So not really a surprise that he chose Michigan, but man, they're getting a really, really good one there. Moving on down, we've already talked about him a little bit. Corey mentioned him because he is just a certified stud. It's Pflugerville Weiss, wide receiver Adrian Wilson, class of 2025. He's got an ideal frame for a wide receiver. He's standing at 6'2", 173 pounds, and obviously I think he's probably quarterback Jax Brown's favorite target. He caught 6 passes for 112 yards and 4 touchdowns last week in their win over Copperas Cove, that's just a lot of touchdowns. That's a lot of targets.
The math do be mathin'.
And that's a lot of targets, and he's just very, very fun to watch. He's racked up over almost 700 yards this season and 12 total touchdowns, and that's through 7 games. So that's super, super impressive. He's just an athletic playmaker who's able to stretch the field and dominate in the deep passing game, and he's just a great route runner too. And he's originally committed to TCU back in June, I believe, but then in July, he flipped his commitment to go play at Oregon. So kind of an interesting flip there.
Yeah.
But Oregon could use him.
Correct.
I mean, Bo Nix isn't going to be there next year, but
go Ducks.
I'm sure they got a good quarterback in the coming years. Coming on, why are you holding the Rutgers?
I don't know.
I thought you wanted to say
no,
something
it was.
about
I
them.
just no, I didn't.
Okay, let's keep it rolling then. I guess with Round Rock corner back Leonard Moore, one of the top-rated corners in the class of 2024. He only 3 catches on 282 pass coverage snaps as a junior last season. Absolutely a lockdown corner with insane athletic ability. And we actually got to see him play a little bit in action this summer at the Texas State 7-on-7 tournament this year. And if you remember, Round Rock was the Division I championship of that. So he was a crucial in that win there. And he will potentially go join Austin native Jaden Greathouse. He is currently committed to go play for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame next year. But again, we
got to stop sending good players to Notre Dame. I've had enough of it. It's time for that to be done.
I know, but he would be really, really good.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
Be really, really good at Notre Dame.
I just know too many annoying Notre Dame fans that reside in and around our workplace, like Ishmael Johnson,
Correct.
For example.
Yes.
Or our host Nick Laupius, for example.
Yes. I mean, shout out to Jaden Greathouse, though. He's done
a
phenomenal job as a true freshman this year, too. He's really made a name for himself there. And
yeah, I don't think it's exactly compared, but I think that he's having a Jackson Smith in the Jigba year.
Oh, yeah.
Like how Jackson Smith came out at Ohio State and instantly started making an impact.
And he's an instant impact
he was
player.
even more instant than what JSN was.
Yeah. Because I don't think JSN even started as a
He didn't start as a freshman, but he got, I think because of injury, he got put in to one of the games like a handful of the way down. Oh, it might have been the bowl game his freshman year that he got put in, and then he popped off, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you're right. Moving on down to Wimberley quarterback Cody Stover. You've kind of mentioned him already, but he's only a junior. That's accomplished quite a bit with a state championship appearance, of course, under his belt, and he was only a sophomore when that happened. He's putting up over 3,500 yards and 51 total touchdowns last season, and then through 6 games this season, he's thrown for over 1,300 yards with a completion percentage of 73 and 21 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. It's pretty dang good.
Yeah, he's been the truth. Wimberley never has an issue developing quarterbacks, but he's been a very pleasant surprise for the Texans.
He's also ran for almost 500 yards and 10 touchdowns this season, using a little bit more of his leg strength. And he's a certified stud on the field who can just read defenses and make decisions on the fly. It just makes him such an adaptable kind of quarterback. He doesn't have any offers yet, I don't think, but again, he's only a junior. He's still young. Wouldn't be surprised to see some more of those rolling in as the year goes on. And let's round it all out with Columbus quarterback Adam Schobel, son of head coach Schobel.
Oh my God, the whole Columbus town is Schobels. There's nothing but Schobels.
Yeah, there's another one too on the team. I think his brother plays on the team as well.
Yes.
So
like literally, there's nothing but Schobels.
I love that.
That's
awesome.
how I knew when I was driving through Columbus that I got to Columbus, because there was a massive sign that said "Come eat at Schobels," which is their restaurant. Every time we ask Coach Schobel, like, "Do you get to eat for free there?" Like,
what does he say?
I think he said, "What did he say?"
I hope so.
He was like, "Oh yeah, they take care of me."
I was gonna say, I really hope so.
Yeah, I told him if he sent me a hat, I would find a time to go down there and eat at Schobel. So that's still on my to-do list if you ever want to.
Yeah.
Can we make a trip down to Columbus so that we can go eat at Schobel's?
Yeah, that works for me. Let's go now.
With all the Schobels.
Let's
They're
go
all
right
there.
now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
After the show. After the show, of course. We gotta finish. The show.
I was just gonna peace out.
Oh, all right. Well, we can do that too. We'll see you next Thursday. But anyways, another junior quarterback who's been a baller this year, having thrown for over 1,200 yards and 19 touchdowns this season, and with only throwing 1 interception. He's got great size, standing at 6'4".
He's a big Schobel.
6'4". He's a big Schobel. I wonder if he's taller than his dad.
Coach Schobel's a pretty big dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say. They've just got size in that family.
Yeah, I would have my guess is he's 6'4" or 6'3".
Yeah, because you know what? You know what's funny? His dad played at TCU. Mm-hmm. His uncle also played at TCU. Mm-hmm. You know where he's committed to?
TCU?
Baylor.
Yeah.
Woo! A little bit of a riff there. But man, Baylor's getting a good one. He's a strong passer with incredible accuracy, throwing at nearly 70% this season. And again, he's currently committed to play for the Baylor Bears in Waco, the rival of his dad and his uncle. So I would be curious to ask him how they feel about that.
When Coach Schobel played for the Eagles,
mm-hmm.
he was listed at 6'5". 6'5", 263 pounds.
That's crazy.
If he has shrunk an inch in his, I'll get him to yell at me, in his old age, they would be the same height.
That's insane.
But he was listed in 2006 at 6'5".
That's a big family.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how big his
When you
brother
eat at
is.
Schobel's, you eat at Schobel's.
It's all the Schobels, yeah. If you want to grow, eat at Schobel's.
Correct.
So there you go.
You need to go so you'll be like taller than 5 foot negative or whatever you are.